The other day, I posted an article about ways to really maximize your Royal Caribbean drink package. That was a pretty simple article. And there was a comment that I got on Facebook that says, Matt, aren't you? They put Diamond Plus, but I'm Pinnacle. But anyway, if so, why get a drink package? And this is an example of something that actually I get a lot of, which people asking why I do certain things. And people are actually surprised I do certain things on Royal Caribbean cruises. I mean, we all cruise differently. And Royal Caribbean and cruises in general are very personalized, right? The way that you cruise and the way I cruise could be fundamentally different, even though we are on the same ship. But nonetheless, today I wanted to talk about the things that I do that people really are surprised by for one reason or another. Well, let's begin with yes, I do buy drink packages, even though I get 6 free drinks a day with being a Pinnacle Club member. And this goes back to even being a Diamond member. The free drinks are great, and they are kind of a way of a kind of a poor man's drink package. I mean, 6 drinks a day is a lot, and I would never drink 6 drinks a day at home. But on a cruise, it's different. And on a cruise, I'm also not always sailing just with my family. In a lot of cases, I sail with friends and family members, like extended family members, I mean. And when I do that, there is sometimes more of a different vibe on those sailings. And 6 drinks can go a lot faster than you think. I mean, I'll use one up every morning for my coffee at Cafe Promenade or Pearl Cafe, Cafe Latitudes, right? So there's one easy, and let's be real with all of you guys, I might need a second one in the afternoons. That's 1 or 2 right off the bat that are gone. And then if you want to have a social drink at trivia at the Schooner Bar, be up at the pool deck, and then maybe one at dinner. I mean, it is a lot of drinks, but in the cadence of a cruise, it goes quickly. And I will buy drink packages. 2 things have to happen. First of all, there's who I'm cruising with. If there's certain people, certain friends I'm cruising with, I'm more likely to get a drink package just for the simplicity of it. Because that is one of the major selling points of a drink package, is that you can go to it and be like, you know what? I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about how much I'm spending, receipts. It's all taken care of. So you got that to start with. The second component to it is also the price of the drink package. I won't buy a drink package at any price, to be clear. What I do is I'll always track the price ahead of time. But I'll definitely look at the price of the drink package leading up to it. I mean, there is a point where I wouldn't buy a drink package. All right, Matt, what is that point? That's a good question. I probably would not buy a drink package, certainly over the $80 or higher per day threshold. I really can't see myself anytime soon doing that. Below 80, in the 70s, I think twice about it. Once you get into the 60s, and certainly the 50s, I don't even think twice. That's like to me, that's fine. I can live with that. But again, it depends on the cruise. It depends on the sailing. It depends on who I'm with, the duration, and the cost. And that is a reason why, yes, sometimes I do buy a Royal Caribbean drink package. Number 2 is I book all my cruises, every single one, with a travel agent. And I probably get the most comments about this from other cruisers. Using a good travel agent only stands to benefit you, both if you are a new cruiser as well as someone who's cruised a bunch of times like myself. The reason why a good travel agent is so important is because they take care of everything for you. It's like having a lawyer, right? I mean, it's just someone to represent yourself, but also to do all the heavy lifting so you don't have to do any of it. And this is why I love using a travel agent. I've used MEI Travel, which is our sponsor, by the way, for, oh gosh, I've been cruising. I mean, it hasn't been 20 years, but it's been in that ballpark of, actually it has been 20 years. I think it was like 2005. I think I met them, 2006. So yeah, it has been about 20 years of cruising and using MEI Travel as my travel agency to book all my travel. And really what it comes down to is a couple things. Number 1 is the service. I mean, the reason why I use a travel agent, and this is why I always say using a good travel agent, is because of the service that you get. In my case, I'm able to text my travel agent, hop on a call occasionally, but mostly I prefer texting. And so I'll just send a quick message, hey, I'm thinking about this sailing, can you price it out? And then I get an email back with all the quotes and we go from there, right? Simplicity of it. And then, of course, there's a service that goes beyond that. Because, of course, anybody can book a cruise. It's really not why I'd recommend using a travel agent. It's more about the service that occurs between booking and the actual sail date. Adjustments, whether it's a price adjustment, something like that. When there are issues, Royal Caribbean changes a sailing and there's a new option or there's room upgrades, pricing differences, they're so helpful in making all that so much easier on myself. And occasionally, there can be issues that pop up. Problems, either Royal Caribbean messes something up or something else externally causes a fault and we need to make adjustments on it. Obviously, during 2020 and 2021, the real good travel agents stood out from the rest because they were the ones that were working tirelessly, even though they really weren't getting paid much, if nothing at all, because the industry was shut down. But nonetheless, they really earned their stripes back then, and it really opened my eyes to who is truly dedicated to their craft and who disappeared during COVID and abandoned all their customers. I'm not naming names, but you probably buy your toilet paper in bulk over there. Anyway, nonetheless, the bottom line is when it comes to a good travel agent, to me, it's a no-brainer. And a lot of people actually question it because they're like, either a couple things. One, they think they can book a cruise on their own, so why bother with somebody else, which I think is like, okay, it goes beyond the actual booking. I agree that booking is not difficult. I'm talking about everything else that happens else in between. And then, of course, there's always the people like the casino bookers, right, who try to get that angle there. And listen, MEI Travel, to their credit, will book casino bookings. But I do use travel agents. I recommend them to everybody. I recommend them to my family. My parents use a travel agent because I recommend them. I mean, I really put my money where my mouth is on this one. I really think you stand to benefit from that. And number 3 is, yes, occasionally, popular, contrary belief, not every time, but occasionally I do stay in expensive suites. So part of my job, and I'm not looking to garner any sympathy from any of you, part of my job is to review every aspect of Royal Caribbean, or as much as I can cover. And that includes inside cabins, balconies, and yes, suites. But when I stay in a suite, my goodness, the comment snipers come out of the woodwork. I mean, in general, there are some people who truly don't understand why I would spend $1 more than whatever I pay for the cruise fare. And even when I book an inside cheap room, I get comments back, you overpaid for that. I would never pay that price for that kind of a cruise. Because, I don't know, they're picking out Trans-Pacific cruises in October by themselves on completely, out there itineraries nobody wants to book. But I digress. Suites, though, bring out the real haters. And there are people that really don't understand why I would book a suite because the pricing for suites are indeed, and I admit this, terribly expensive. Recently, I paid, I think, $11,000 for a star class suite on Utopia of the Seas. And we had a video of this here on our YouTube channel and article on RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. And, I think I did a pretty good job of explaining, yes, it's a splurge. No, I don't think it's a good value. It was for a birthday celebration. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not the worst price I've seen for a suite, blah, blah, blah. But let me tell you something. These people don't read, they don't watch. They just see the number and they see fire in their eyes because I did that. And they question why I would do it. And again, part of it, number 1, is for research. Okay. So I'm going to put that out there. I mean, really, I've got to evaluate everything that comes in there. Yes, there is a personal side of me that does enjoy staying in suite. Who wouldn't enjoy that aspect of it? But I don't seek it out. I don't purposely only stay in suites. Most recently, I stayed in an inside cabin on Radiance of the Seas. I'm recording this episode right before I go on to Alaska on Serenade of the Seas, and I'm staying in a balcony room. I really do try to mix it up. It depends on the ship, what's available. I'm more of an opportunistic booker, meaning I look at the sailing and I look at the prices. And if the price for one cabin is more interesting or more opportunistic than another, I'll jump on that. Otherwise, I go for the cheaper one and just do that. But the idea that I shouldn't book a suite, or why I would book a suite for the crazy high price it is primarily because of, the research aspect to it, but also because there are people that do that. And that's the undeniable fact as well, because oftentimes it's the comments like, you're out of touch. The normal person doesn't book those kinds of rooms. Can't afford that kind of a room. Okay. But there are people that book them. I guarantee you on every single sailing, every single suite is sold out because people are booking it. Now, there are not a lot of them because by definition, there are the fewest type of cabins on any ship is a suite, but people are booking it. There are people that book it, and I try to cover every aspect of it. So for every suite I stay in, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm staying in other kinds of rooms out there. So, it's just one of those things that I get a lot of disbelief that I would book that kind of a room. But really, I think those are the 3 major things, that jump out that people really question why I would do it. Other ways, just spending your money on board a cruise, you can have varying degrees of incredulous belief about how I cruise, right? I mean, some people think it's crazy to book, especially restaurant. I wouldn't go as far as to include this in this list because I think that's a bit out there. But you kind of get where I'm going with that. And I wanted to share these 3 things that why I do it, and it's not the end of the world why I do it. But this also goes back to the most important thing about a cruise. A cruise, and this is the beauty of it, a cruise is what you make of it. And some people will cruise completely different than you, and that doesn't make them right or wrong. It just is the beauty of a cruise because we get to enjoy it the way that we prefer to enjoy it. All right, friends, time to answer listener emails. Our first email this week is from Brian. Hey, Matt, just FYI, we just got back from Freedom of the Seas on Saturday and was catching up on your podcast. We had to go to the loyalty ambassador for an unrelated issue and was told the exact same thing that listener emailed about a couple of weeks ago about children not retaining parents' total points after they turn 18. Okay, now hold on a second, Brian. Thank you for the email, first and foremost. I never said they would never carry their parents' points, just their status. So the example I would give, and this is why it's so confusing, I think, is let's say you have 80 points. You're diamond, okay? You have a kid. Kid is born. Kid has never cruised before. So 0 points, but because they're your child, they are diamond because of your status. Okay, let's assume for a second that you never cruised again until they're 18. They turn 18, so they still have 0 cruise points with Royal Caribbean. When they turn 18, my understanding was they would still retain diamond status, but they would have 0 points. So in order to move to Diamond Plus, they would have to cruise enough to get to Diamond Plus on their own, if that makes sense. So yes, you're right about they don't get their parents' point total. That's not a thing at all. It's never been a thing. It's more the status that they had because they were children of the parents, if that makes sense. So let's just make sure we're clear on that before we start convoluting that. But thank you for the email nonetheless. I appreciate it. Next question is from, speaking of Diamond, I got another email about this. Last week I was on YouTube. This is from John Edwards, aka Skyfrog on YouTube, from Brandon, Florida. Last week I was on YouTube with my wife and we did a little exploring. I wanted to show her the Crown Lounge and get some coffee. I'm already diamond, but she only has 40 points. This is because I retired about a year before her and took a few solo cruises. I specifically read that family members who are not diamond are excluded from the Crown Lounge, but we were let in anyway by the receptionist. She then mentioned, if we go to the loyalty desk, they will make my wife diamond level by linking our account. Sure enough, they printed a new card and she got all the benefits of diamond automatically. I did not know this and wasn't sure if you already knew. 40 plus jump in loyalty points is impressive. Now we're both diamond without matching points. Yeah, you're correct. So this is not new. This is the policy. This applies if you get married, your spouse marries into your status. So yeah, you just have to establish the relationship within Crown and Anchor Society, and that goes forward. Now that being said, John, once again, if your wife, let's say you never cruised again in your life, for your wife to get to your diamond, and she's diamond because of you, for you to get to diamond, for you or her to get to Diamond Plus without you cruising, John, she would have to cruise enough to earn enough points on her own. So she's at 40 right now. She would have to get, cruise enough to get Diamond Plus on her own, if that makes sense. So yeah, it can be a little confusing here with like how it all works, but trust me, it does work right there. Next email is from Jim Harris. We look for good deals on cruise cabins, low price options. We never cruise for less than 10 or 11 nights. That gives us lots of time to eat, especially dining venues. If we're bargain cruisers, why would we want to pay for additional dining? Think of those extra cost venues as date nights. By saving money on cabins, we can spend extra on dining. Most specialty dining options are overpriced, but fun. Yeah, I mean, that's one way of looking at it for sure. You're a bargain cruiser, so you're looking to, maximize your money. Nothing wrong with that. And when it comes to specialty dining, I don't disagree with your perspective on that. Like, you look at it as, let's say, your vacation budget is, I'm making up numbers now, $3,000, right? And you spend $2,000 on the cabin or less, whatever, right? That leaves you $1,000 left over. You can use that by booking a lesser cabin instead of booking maybe a balcony for $3,000. You have $1,000 play money, and you can use that to pay for, in this case, specialty dining. And Jim, I don't think it's a bad perspective at all, quite frankly. Next email is from Jessica. Hi, Matt. I've been missing out. Just discovered your podcast and am binge listening. You're great. Thank you. We've been on quite a few Royal Caribbean cruises and always leave happy. We live in Louisiana and are excited for the Icon out of Galveston. Historically, does Royal Caribbean offer Black Friday deals, or what is the best time to book for optimal cruise savings? Good email. Good question, Jessica. They do offer Black Friday, but I wouldn't recommend doing it, waiting for that. Black Friday is good for booking things like drink packages. I mean, there will be a Black Friday sale on cruise fares. I don't want to pretend there isn't one. But honestly, Jessica, you are better off, in my opinion, booking your cruise now and locking in the price. Because what will happen when Black Friday comes around, what we typically see more is an increase in onboard credit than, say, like a true discount. Cruises are not priced like TVs at Best Buy, where like, oh, that TV's been $500 forever, now it's $300. Royal really doesn't do that. What they tend to do more is they tend to offer like add-ons like, the extra onboard credit, and they tend to, and historically speaking, discount their cruise add-ons more than their cruise fares. So my advice to you is actually book your cruise now. The best time to book your cruise for optimal savings is immediately. And then when you get to Black Friday, you can always look at not only what options are out there for the cruise add-ons, but also your cruise fare. Because remember, you're in Louisiana, you're a U.S. citizen. If you're before final payment dates, let's say you book your cruise, Jessica, for next summer, 27, right? You get to Black Friday. That is certainly more outside of the final payment date. Again, this goes back to something I talked about earlier, why use a good travel agent. If there's a better price on your cruise fare, your travel agent can go in and reprice the cruise and take advantage of the lower price if there is a better deal on Black Friday or any time at that point. Just up to you to look for it. But anyway, the point is you should book your cruise now. Royal Caribbean does offer Black Friday deals, and they tend to be much more lucrative on things like drink packages, shore excursions, Wi-Fi. But there will be a sale for Black Friday. They basically run it for the entire month, between Black Friday and New Year's Eve, basically. And it's varying degrees of savings, but primarily it's onboard credit you're talking about, not the actual cruise fare. But if you waited to book until Black Friday, while you may get more onboard credit, the cruise fare might go up significantly between now and then, probably will, thus negating the extra onboard credit that you get. Next email is from Steven from West Texas. Matt, thank you for the soda cup update. Not that $4.99 is a big deal, but it seems ridiculous after paying $1,000 for our deluxe drink packages. If they attempt to charge us, we'll let staff know we purchased our drink package months ago. Thanks again for your awesome videos. Yeah, the soda cup thing was a real head scratcher to me as to why, if you don't recall about this, Royal Caribbean announced earlier this year they're going to start charging, if you bought the drink package, the deluxe drink package or the refreshment package, you'll have to pay $4.99 for the actual soda cup. And it used to be included with it. It's a real head scratcher because I did a whole podcast about this, about why, because there's a lot of reasons. I don't want to rehash that video, but it is really bizarre, and I still don't have a really good, that's probably why they did it, but I digress. Next email is from Sean Derrick. First, thanks so much for all the information. It has enhanced my cruising more than I can say. I just joined your YouTube channel as Trophy Husband 71. Anyway, I asked you during a Q&A that you did on YouTube Live about Perfect Day Mexico and the changing stance the Mexican president is taking. You asked if I read what she said, and yes, but I also read several Mexican news outlets. It would seem, based on the report in Mexico News Daily, that the Mexican president is thinking that Royal Caribbean may have to completely move it to a new location. It appears Greenpeace is taking a strong stance on shutting it down, and even Taylor Swift is posting against it. Not to mention that many lawsuits I've read that are or have been filed either about ecological or legal procedures that weren't followed correctly in the approval process. I'm not disagreeing with your take, that's still a go. However, there's serious headwind blowing that warrants consideration. Any thoughts, please let me know or the community know. Again, thanks. Great email, Sean. Listen, there's been a lot changing, and it's become this almost this legal drama. Every week there's something different. In fact, earlier this week, the Mexican president said something else. Here's what I think will happen. And ladies and gentlemen, I know nothing more than you all do, so this is just my guess. I think it's still there will be some form of Perfect Day Mexico in Costa Maya. I think the difference is they're going to have to change some aspect of it. And the reason why I'm saying this is we saw a similar drama play out with Disney Cruise Line with Lighthouse Point. Is that the name of their private one they built? The second one they built in the Bahamas. They also ran into a headwind of major ecological issues, and Disney had to scale. They had to give a lot of things. They had to rework their project. Namely, they had to build a longer pier that would go beyond the reef. They had to provide more. They had to develop less of the land that they had originally planned. And I think Royal will probably go do something similar. I mean, they already bought Costa Maya. It's theirs. They invested the money in it. I seriously don't see them walking away from it. Now, when they say, doing a different area, what I think they really mean is, let's say the footprint is whatever it is. That's X. That's based, the original plan is, the original footprint from the plan is X. I think they'll do X minus Y. They'll say, okay, we'll build this now a little further away. We'll add more exclusion so it's not near mangroves, things of that nature. Those kind of concessions, I think, will be the name of the game. Again, I don't know, and maybe this will, and I could be dead wrong. As many of our listeners know, I'm a terrible predictor, and I never know what Royal will do, but I really do believe in my heart of hearts that they will find us some sort of a solution in Costa Maya. So, next email is from Kara. I've been listening to your podcast. I will be taking my first cruise ever, traveling with 2 childhood friends. We've booked a 7-day Alaska cruise in July with a balcony room. I've noticed there's only 2 chairs in the balcony. Will they let you have a 3rd chair, and is there even room? you could ask, Kara, thanks for the email. You could ask your stateroom attendant. I don't know if they will have any. The bigger issue is your second question. Is there actual room? It depends on your balcony. Some balconies are deeper, wider, longer than others. And I would question if you could actually fit one physically in there or comfortably. I understand what you're saying, Matt. There's 3 of us, 3 chairs. That's what we'd like to have there. I would say in practice, unless you guys are like living out there, and in Alaska, it can be a little chilly, blah, blah, blah. I doubt you're going to use it as much as you think you're going to use it, but nonetheless, I would ask. Please don't take this as like you shouldn't ask for it, but it's not an official policy. And quite frankly, I don't think I've ever asked for one. So you're kind of, congratulations, you've hit me with a question I don't think I've ever gotten before, but I would certainly ask for it, assuming that it can fit in there. That's the most important thing. And our last email today is coming from Alex from Maryland. I've been waffling back and forth on this question. I finally had to come to the expert for the final ruling, so put on your judge's robe and grab your gavel. Like anyone else, I love keeping track of how many cruises I've been on, and I love counting for my kids too. My 5-year-old has been on 8 cruises, or has he? See, one of those 4-day and 3-day back-to-back, or as I like to call it, build your own 7-night cruise. So Matt, for the official record, does a back-to-back count as one long cruise or 2 separate cruises, especially when the back-to-back consists of 2 short sailings? I will abide by your ruling. Here, the Honorable Matt Hochberg now presides over case number 784867. And please be seated. I've reviewed the case material. It seems to me a very cut and dry situation based on the precedent set by the People versus Craig Hart. I believe the answer to your question is, does a back-to-back count as one long cruise or 2 separate cruises? The answer is, it is 2 separate cruises. Back-to-back cruises are something that us as cruisers come up with. Like, it's like a thing, it's a term of endearment, quite frankly. It's a way that we kind of label things. But in Royal Caribbean's eyes, it doesn't matter if you do 1 cruise or 7 cruises in a row, they are 7 separate cruises. That's why you see them in your cruise history as separate cruises. That's why you book it as separate cruises. And so the answer to your question is, they are indeed separate cruises. Your 5-year-old has been on 8 cruises, regardless of how many of those were back to back. The 4 and the 3-day are 2 separate cruises. There you go. That's my ruling. Ding, ding. Insert the Law and Order sound effect here. Thank you, Alex, for the email. Thank you to everybody for checking out this episode of the Royal Caribbean Blog Podcast. Of course, you can always email me your questions by emailing them to Matt, M-A-T-T, at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Matt at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Until next time, I'm Matt. We'll talk again real soon.